Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing with our topic of senses, how to control the senses. And today we are into a very important shloka which talks about how to control the senses. So control the mind, so and senses. So mind is one of the most important when we talk about the senses. So let's see the shlokas. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asamshayam Mahabhaho Mano Durmi Graham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha grihate. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to scrub the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So, this is one of the very most famous and practical verse on mind control. And in this shloka, the Lord talks about the two key component. One is called as Abhyasa and Vairagya. So if you see, the mind itself is the most important thing, right? It is the cause of everything. So we may call it as karma. It is whatever is happening, the good thing or bad thing in the material life. We say that it is because of our karma, but actually how the karma is born, that is very important to understand. So actually the main source of karma is mind. So wherever the mind thinks and goes, that becomes the karma, and then through that we get all the consequences. You see that the example of Bharat Maharaj, right? He worshipped Lord throughout his life, but when the last moment he just got attached to the deer, he become deer in the next birth. So what Krishna is telling to Arjuna over here, he is saying, yes, it is very difficult to control the mind, but it is not impossible. And it is possible by abhyas and vyarag. So Sri Krishna uses two very generic terms here. Sri Krishna is using two very generic terms here, abhyas and vyarag. So just see that how easy actually it is to control the mind. And for every root cause of everything is actually the mind. If we control the mind, everything can be controlled by us. And to control the mind, Lord has given us the prescription, which is so easy, but still we are struggling. We are struggling. Not only we, even exalted personality like uh, Arjuna, he is also struggling. So now you see here, Krishna is not talking about, he is saying a very generic answer here. Generic answer and solution how to control the mind. And he is saying, yes, it is possible, but it is possible only by practice. Abhyasa is practice. And Vairagya. Vairagya is detachment. So now you see, if a person is sick, then the person has to take the treatment. So we all fell sick in our life. And when we go to the doctor, he gives some therapy or treatment. That therapy or treatment is actually abhyas. And then also he tell some items to avoid, isn't it? He tell us some items to avoid. So that is nothing but vairagya. So you take this example like, let's say if a person, he has fractured his leg or hand, how he should be cured? He will be cured by, let's say, take a lot of precaution to his hand or leg, do little bit of walking, some exercises, not too heavy, not too light. So that way his mobility of his muscles and everything will be fine. So that is nothing but abhyasa. What is vairagya? Vairagya is don'ts, right? So just like do's and don'ts. So do's are the abhyasa and don'ts are vairagya. So these don'ts or vairagya are some of the activities which can actually damage the effect if you don't follow. So abhyasa and vairagya is prescribed. So with respect to bhakti yoga, it is applied that when we try to practice spiritual life, abhyasena tu konteya vairagyena cha grihate. So Lord is saying that. So why just not this in the path of bhakti yoga, if we have to follow the abhyasa and vairagya, but you take anything in life, whatever you are doing, maybe Matajis are going to prepare some prasadam, some sweet dish, or Prabhuji has to go to work and do to accomplish his work, he has to acquire some skills. Everything. A student go for some exams, some competitive exams, or a kid is going for his yearly exams. For everything, one has to do abhyasa and vairagya. So, what is the abhyasa? That is do's and vairagya is don'ts. So, maybe abhyasa is he will practice how to, what is the process in that, right? So, Mataji is preparing for some prasadam, then first she has to ignite the gas and then put some oil into that. So those are the abhyasa. Vairagya may be not putting too much of oil or too much of salt, then everything is get spoiled. So like that, everything have some, every activity you do. If you want to become perfect in that activity, if you want to achieve anything, you have to do abhyasa and vairagya. More abhyasa or practice you do, and more vairagya or don'ts you follow, your work will be established. So this principle actually applied not only in spiritual world, it is applied in material world. So you see that every activity, may it be a material activity, may it be the bhakti yoga for spiritual progress, you need to have abhyasa and vairagya. Very important. Right? So now you see, even when we take about Krishna consciousness, what is abhyasa and vairagya? So abhyasa is practicing that chanting in a very focused way, not mechanical chanting, right? So what happens? So try to, when we are chanting 16 rounds, initially how difficult it was. The mind keeps wondering, right? So we have to, for everything, we have to, so this abhyasa is more about practicing how to keep the mind under control because it always goes off and you have to bring it back. So again and again, it goes off and we bring it back again. So abhyasa, abhyasa, and abhyasa. And vairagya is means we try to follow the regulative principle. So we try to avoid those activities which actually agitate our mind. So that is why you see why even the onion garlic is prohibited in Krishna consciousness. So it is just not a philosophy. It is very important. It is a practical science, and that science is not like our material science. So compared to our material science, this spiritual science is way ahead advance. So in material life, they will not, tell you to avoid this onion garlic, but one may say, what is there? It is not a non-veg, right? So what is the problem? But the problem is it agitate your mind, and everything is about controlling your mind. So when mind get agitated, then how you will actually control your mind? How you will do the quality 16 round of chanting, and how you will follow the regulative principles? It's not easy, right? So it's only easy for those people who can keep their mind under control. Not only this, right? So in student life, we have seen our parents, our teachers, our mentors, they used to also tell some abhyasa and vairagya, isn't it? Ki, okay, sleep less, follow, uh, early morning you read, uh, then in spiritual life also chanting in the early morning, right? So these are abhyasa. So without practice, in first attempt, you cannot do just 16 round of chanting, right? Even if you do forcefully, mind will keep on going here and there. So very key thing is that this chant Hare Krishna to control the mind, but because of uncontrolled mind, I'm not able to chant. So how to do? So for our mind to become full control, we have to actually practice. That is why Lord is here saying, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha riyate. Vairagya means detachment. So until and unless we'll detach from material things, it is not possible to achieve things, right? So let's assume ki a person, a kid or child or adult is acquiring some skills. May he want to crack the exam, or uh, he want to perform good in his workplace, or Mataji want to prepare a delicious uh, prasada. So if she don't follows that do's, because only uh, do so two part we said, right? Do's and don'ts. So do's I am doing, but don'ts I am not following. So even if one is not following one part, then the things will not be achieved. So when we remember Krishna, we get strength. Our hankering actually goes away. So we are hankering for so many objects in this world, right? We want this thing, we want that thing. So then we get Krishna, and then we say, yes, I am satisfied. I don't need anything more. So our hankering goes away. So after that, we start getting taste. Yes. So we have to actually get convinced and satisfied. So Krishna is so nice, and whatever temptation comes, I will face it. Right? Your mind will have different material temptations. But we have to stop somewhere and say, yeah, Krishna, I got Krishna, so I am satisfied. That is why it is also called as higher taste, right? So when you get a higher taste, you see the even kid psychology, right? If kid is doing some wrong things, he is touching some glass items, right? Which is fragile, and now you want to take it away from him or her. So if you take, he or she will start crying. So what you have to do is you have to give him some other toys, which is not very fragile. So immediately her mind will get diverted and he or she will stop crying. So like that, because why is not, he or she is not crying? Because he or she got higher taste. Some other toy he or she got. So she is satisfied, she is not. So similarly, we have to build the taste in Krishna, right? So that comes only through Abhyasena and Vairagya. So this Abhyas here, clearly very easy process. We are talking about chanting. Chanting, very proper way of chanting, right? Very what we call as qualitative chanting, not quantitative chanting, right? So that is Abhyasa and the Vairagyan. We said this four regulative principle, which is very important. If you are actually struck into those four don'ts, right? That intoxication, gambling, meat eating, or uh, you know, um, bevichar. So then it is very difficult to, then your mind also will be hankering, right? It will, you will not get that qualitative chanting. You cannot, and then within few days, you will actually say, ki, no, no, this is not working out for me. It is not, I'm not getting the taste. I will leave. So that way, uh, people who have not done proper practice of this Abhyasena and Vairagya, he will leave. Not only this bhakti, let's take any, people are sitting in IS exam, right? Many leave even after 6, 7 years of practicing, because they, at one point of time, they will start blaming the other. They don't see that key, some loophole in my Abhyasena and Vairagya. They just started blaming into the system, they start blaming into something, and they give up. So Prabhupada gives example here. More we engage in devotional service, the greater satisfaction we'll get. So that is why it is very important thing. You may say, ki, oh, I have participated in Bhagavad-gītā class or course so many times. Why I should go again? No, you have to do again and again. This is not that you are doing some reading that one time you finish and it's over. You have to sit, you have to come back again and again. That is how you will start getting the taste of devotional service. So, very important of association is so important. So now, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada also giving a very famous analogy to explain this abhyas. He is saying a hungry man is sitting down for a meal, right? So he eats with every morsel of food, he feels corresponding increase in satisfaction and strength. So you see, a person is very hungry. He's taking the meal, so he only can feel that satisfaction and strength, right? Nobody else has to tell him, oh, you are eating very tasty food and you are getting strength. He automatically, if he is hungry, so more you are hungry, more you will satisfy it, isn't it? Just he used to give so many times example of this gulab jamun. When you see gulab jamun, you are mad about it to eat, right? So you take one, then you want again one more. Like that, if someone starts serving you some, let's say 10, then you again eat. Then he started serving you 50 gulab jamun. So with little difficulty you eat, you may have stomach pain. And if he next time serve 100 gulab jamuns to you, you will fall sick. So you see that it is very important that more you are hungry, the more benefit you get, more satisfaction you get, more strength you get. So like that, the process of this bhakti process, or let it be any process, you have to develop that hunger. if you are not hungry, you will not get the satisfaction and strength, right? You are just eating. You see that doctors also tell, right? If your stomach is full, don't eat. It become toxic, right? So like that. So one has to be hungry. Then if he eats, then he will get the perfect results. So like that in bhakti process, engaging in this 9 process of devotional service, Navda Bhakti. So it starts with hearing Shravanam and then chanting Kirtanam about Krishna. So the more one sincerely practice this, the more one feel a transcendental satisfaction, which Srila Prabhupada has mentioned called as Paresanu Bhava. Means he feels a transcendental satisfaction, which automatically settles his mind. So you see this, my controlling mind is not so easy, very difficult. Arjun is not able to control what, who are we. So we have to follow this practice. So very simply, I mean, nothing can be so easier than this, right? The another analogy is given: a patient is suffering from fever or some mad mind. So two things he has to get cured, right? One is the expert treatment, right? He has to take the prescribed medicine. And then if he follow the diet, so avoiding the food which will actually make him more diseased, maybe like the cold drinks and some kind of spicy food. So as we were mentioning, right, when a person is having suffering from some disease, or let's say some fever, he has to not only take, let's say, doctor may say ki, oh, take dolo. So that is the treatment he is giving, but he is also saying ki, do avoid taking cold drinks or any kind of junk or spicy food, right? So that is what is abhyasa and practice. So constantly engaging the mind in Krishna service. If you are not engaged your mind in Krishna service, then automatically what happens? Mind will go here and there, and then you will say, no, it is not working out for me. And you will leave that. So as we discuss, it is not only in Krishna consciousness, but anything you want to achieve. Maybe you want to become a good chef, you want to become a good administrator, you want to become a good engineer, doctor. We have already experienced this since beginning, right? So another modern analogy that is given, often used to stress the importance of vairaga, that is detachment. So let's say a person is rowing a boat. So which also rowing a boat is also abhyasa, right? It needs effort. You cannot just take and start rowing a boat. So with you need strength. You need great strength to row the boat. But what is happening? A boat is not moving. Let's say the boat is, you are putting gates and you know how to row a boat, but the boat is not moving. The reason is that the anchor or the attachment, right? So you know how to tie the boat through the anchor. So here that represents the attachment or vairagya. So this anchor is the attachment in our life. So it is actually still stuck in sand. How the boat will move? Though you may do lot of effort. I used to remember when in our um, in teenager time, we wanted to prepare for competitive exam. So our mentor used to tell, ki, if you want to crack the IIT, you have to study for 12 to 14 hours. If you want to crack uh, your PMT or NEET, you have to study for 12 to 14 hours. And student like us used to just see ki how many hours I am sitting in my study table. That itself is not enough, right? We have to have some kind of do's and don'ts. We have to be focused. So otherwise, we cannot actually get the result. So abhyas is steady engaging in mind in the service of Krishna using hearing, chanting, worshipping, and meditating onto him. That is the abhyas or practice. And vairagya is the detachment. Detachment towards naturally developing the detachment from temporary or material things, because one has tasted the superior happiness, right? Pare sanu bhava. So superior happiness is called as paresanu bhava of Krishna consciousness. So there is a also story of this King Keshi Dhavaja and uh, Kandikya. So this Kandikya, he was very learned but materialistic king. But later what happened? He renounced everything after being defeated by the other king, the Kesi Dhavaja. Because Kesi Dhavaja was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And after some time, this Kandikya, he told Kesi Dhavaja that to learn the secret of controlling his mind despite his rigid austerities. So actually, he told him, the other king, that you practice controlling the mind. Then only you can actually get the benefit of the austerities. So what is the point if you just doing the 16 rounds and you are not, uh, your mind is going somewhere else? It will not give that effect, right? You cannot get the taste, the pleasure of bhakti. So that was instructed by this king Keshi Davaja. He instructed the other king Kandikya to control your mind and senses. And to control your mind and senses, you meditate. And you meditate on transcendental form of Lord Krishna, that is Vishnu. So then you will be actually free from all the flaws of material forms. So material forms is actually being the product of karma and the subject to destruction, are not fit object for sustained meditation. So you see here, if you have this material hankering, you are subjected to destruction. So everywhere it is written, more material desires you have, more you are subject to destruction. And that is the product of karma. We always cry about karma, right? It is my bad luck, my bad karma. So actually, how that actually happened? It happened because you let your mind to be uncontrolled. And to control your mind, the prescription is very simple. The way doctor gives, right? Do's and don'ts. Do's are abhyas, don'ts are vyarag. So very simple, right? So I will stop it here. Any questions or anything you want to add?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare
Could you say
Krishna.
something?
Prabhuji,
Some-
I have heard from Guru Maharaj lectures that he used to say, be greedy in devotional service or be greedy in spiritual life.
Yeah.
But greed is something which we have to overcome, right, Prabhuji? Like
Yes.
greed, how do we understand this, Prabhuji? I didn't understand actually. Can you just explain?
Yeah. So greed in the spiritual life is again the abhyasa that we have to do, right? So people have generally, we come to this bhuloka, immediately Maya attacks on us. So very naturally we develop the greed for material things. So when Guru Maharaj is talking about to have the greed for spiritual things here, right? So we have to have the greed for Krishna. We have to greed for devotee association. We have to greed for prasadam. We have to have the so basically, uh, as we discussed earlier also, right? Ki if our face is towards Krishna, then the back will be towards Maya. So the moment we show our back to Maya, automatically we will achieve Krishna. So to achieve Krishna, what we have to have? We have to have love for Krishna. So until and unless you have love, you know somebody, and if you don't know somebody properly, you also will not develop love for somebody, right? So you have to develop that greed. You have to develop that love, or you have to have the greed for the spiritual or for the Lord. So people are, it is very natural that the greed develops for material world, not for the spiritual world. So that is why he is saying ki if you develop the greed for the materialistic things, then automatically you will never develop a greed for achieving Lord Krishna, right? So uh, ultimately, what is we are actually hankering for? We are hankering for happiness, right? So you can call it as it is one of our greed. We cannot actually avoid that. So this you call it as happiness or greed for happiness is something which actually naturally we have. We cannot avoid it. But the problem is we think that happiness means earning more money, or collecting more assets, or uh, you know so you see that these are all material things. So this is something our wrong belief, you can say, that our greed, when we talk about happiness, we think that this material things, the greed of these material things can give us happiness. But anyway, we cannot avoid greed. So greed we have to develop for bhakti, for bhakti process, for Krishna. So otherwise, what will happen? Greed anyway will be there. You have to choose. It should be for the greed for Krishna or greed for Maya. So that is why if you don't have this greed for Krishna, then automatically you will develop the greed for, naturally you will get the greed for all this materialistic thing. That is why he is saying, so it is actually one way to control your mind only. So when you have uh, the greed, so as we discussed this example also, right? The kid, if you give if you give him the toy, some other toy, beautiful toy or beautiful doll, he automatically uh, leave that fragile glass. So you see that anyway he will have the greed, because in material world we will have greed. We cannot avoid any kind of greed, but we have to control our mind that what is do, what is don't. So we have to develop don't means we have to avoid the material greed, but we have to develop the spiritual greed. Otherwise, if you don't develop the spiritual greed, then you will automatically fall for the material greed. So that is why he is saying that you develop the greed for Krishna, you have to develop the greed for bhakti. Otherwise, if you don't do that, automatically you will fall it for all this tamsik or rajogunas. You elevate that. So this is how Maya basically grab us. We cannot avoid. So we have to develop the taste for Krishna. So does that answer, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Greed, like attending more lectures, doing more rounds,
Yes,
is
yes,
like that. Okay, okay.
yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Prabhuji. Thank you so
So
much for that.
initially, what happens now? We also associate the taste. If we are not getting the taste, that means we don't get the greed for it. We don't look forward for it, right? So, but what happens for any good thing, it takes time. It takes time. So immediately you start, you will say, I am not getting. Why people don't get the greed for spiritual things, but very easily get the greed for material things? Just think about this. Why nobody has to tell? See, I see now the generations, nobody has to tell them to practice intoxication, smoking or drinking. Nobody tell them. They immediately start doing it. But you tell them, however, you tell them to study this or that, or come to Bhagavad-gītā lecture or Bhagavatam, they will try to avoid. So what is this? This is actually the prabhava of Maya. We naturally tend towards the material greed, but we have to develop the greed for spiritual things, to get the taste for Krishna, or taste of chanting or practicing this. We need to have the greed. Obviously we need to have the greed for it, then only we can madly go for it. So it is not so easy, right? So we have to practice, because Maya is already, we are already in the grip of Maya. How we can immediately get the taste of Krishna? Because both are opposite. Krishna and Maya are opposite to each other. Anonym, synonym, right? So that is what it is. Anything else?
Thank
Anybody
you so
want?
much, Prabhuji, for answering my question. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Sundara
Krishna.
Mataji.
It
Dandavat
was
Pranam.
very nice that you mentioned that, like even while cooking the salt, the housewives are, they're taken for granted, they're least appreciated. And y'all don't
Yes.
realize even to wash in something like just washing clothes also needs practice and renunciation. You have to differentiate what
Yes.
kiska color loser. And something like
Yes.
even to fry a papad, it
Yes.
needs a lot, it needs a lot of practice to run a house. I mean, we always
Correct.
talk about professionals, IT, this, that, but nobody salutes a housewife. So
Yeah, that,
all the Prabhus here, please, we also need one share running a house is not less than running an IT company.
Very
And
true,
Prabhu,
Prabhuji,
and
100%.
yes.
Prabhu, in the month of Damodar, we can see Mother Yashoda. She's got everything still. Practice, renunciation. She's
Yes.
churning for Lord Krishna.
Correct.
So, and Prabhu, when we are talking about greed, as Mataji says, you've explained it so well. Greed for preaching, greed for this, greed for meeting devotees. Unless you hanker for anything in life, whether it is a degree, whether it is food, whether it is a cloth, whether it is
Yes.
jewelry, or whether it is for Krishna, that hankering is greed. So, Prabhu,
Yes.
it was very well explained. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, very natural. You see this. Um, so good things initially they are like poison and later become sweet, right? And you see the bad things initially they are sweet and later become poison. We very frequently compare that pizza things, right? The pizza,
Yes.
pasta, people it actually initially, so people are running after it. So it tastes so good and later become poison when people develop cholesterol or some kind of cancer. So bhakti is like that, Mataji. So initially it is very, it feels like
Yes,
poison,
Prabhu, anything.
very difficult, right? But
Yeah.
as
No.
we, I mean, we have to
Yes,
keep
Prabhu,
our
anything
mind.
in life, unless you hunger, you have a, unless you get a greed for it.
Yes.
And even Prabhu, like, as I tell you, even to roll a simple chapati needs practice and renunciation. It's
Correct,
not
correct.
easy.
And
So,
rightly you mentioned
and
about,
spiritual life is not easy. You have to have hunger.
yes, yes, yes. We have to have a hunger because initially it is like a struggle, but it takes time when you get the taste, you get the little taste, and it is actually higher taste than the material, any kind of material taste. So, but since it takes little time, people give up and people don't believe. So it comes only through abhyasena and vairagya. So which people find it little difficult initially, at least. So we'll move to Damodar Ashtakam. So Mataji, Swati Mataji want to do the
Yes,
Namaste
Prabhuji.
Rachana?
Yes,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
Mataji, can we start that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So if you want to also, Matajis and Prabhujis want to show their altar, it will be very nice. We can have a good darshan. Mataji, we can start.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमनं यशोधाभियोलुकालादवमानं परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृतगोप्य रुधन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रं युग्मं रुजन्तं कराम्बोजयुग्मेन शातं प्रनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेककण्ठ स्थितघ्रैव दामोदरं भक्तिभद्रम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यपयन्तम् तदीयेषिताब्जेषु भक्तर्जितत्वम् पुनर्प्रेमतस्तं शतवृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेषदपिह इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनसा वीरस्तं किमन्ये इदं ते मुकाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलये ऋतं कुन्तलैः स्निग्धरक्तश्च गोप्या मुहुःशुम्भितां बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्याविरस्तमलं लक्षलब्धे नमो दामोदर विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवीक्षान्ति दीनं वतानो ग्रहाणेशमामग्नम् इति यक्षिदृश्या कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्तेऽस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायात विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमनम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for giving this
Thank you so
opportunity.
much, Swati Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you, Komala Mataji, for showing the altar. Thank you, Madhumalati Mataji. Thank you, Siddhi Mataji, for showing the altar. Thank you, Prabhujis. Thank you, Matajis. Thank you for joining and giving association. So happy Diwali to you all. May you have very blissful Diwali and show the lamp to the Damodar. So we'll join tomorrow again. So please don't miss. Hare Krishna. Granth
Hare
Raj
Krishna,
Bhagavad
Prabhuji.
Gita
Thank
ki
you.
jai.
Hare
Srila
Krishna,
Prabhupada
Hare
ki
Krishna.
jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Thank
Happy
Dhanataram.
Diwali to all
thank you.
devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanavatam. Happy Diwali to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Diwali to all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.